We're back on old Route 66. And we've reached Kansas. Now, of the 8 states Route 66 passes through, Kansas has got the shortest stretch, somewhere around 13.2 miles. There are just 3 towns along Kansas's stretch of the old Mother Road, the biggest of which is our first stop, Baxter Springs, home of Bob's Lawn Service. Now, as you can imagine, with only 13 miles of Kansas Route 66, there's not much on that path that I haven't seen and done before, and yet there are a few things that I've never managed to do or see on this stretch, or at least go inside of. We're gonna try to pull some of those off today before it starts pouring on us. Look at this little store right here. Kansas Souvenirs. Ah, yes, the classic Kansas souvenir, naked mannequins. Honestly, Baxter Springs is sort of a bizarre place. There's all these downtown buildings with cool neon signs like the Route 66 soda fountain, or across the way, one that says something about some kind of wheels museum. Another one on the corner about a Route 66 event center. None of them are open. Every time I come through town, and I've come through a bunch, that's the story. Way more closed businesses than open ones, and promising signs with very little sign of life, except for Sleepy Girls over there, and there's a little antique store over yonder we went to last time. But most of this town always seems to be mysteriously closed up out here. Don't try to go in the buildings though, they got burglar alarms. Now, Sleepy Girls over there is pretty cool, not just because they have a wacky waving arm flailing inflatable tube man, but because they got a little of everything in there, including some Route 66 souvenirs, some weird sodas and stuff like that. If you saw our last adventure, you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's some amazing architecture down here, some old 1800s buildings, you know, Victorian looking buildings converted to sort of mid-century modern on the ground floor here. But if we're talking buildings, in Baxter Springs, there's one that takes the cake. The Kansas Route 66 Visitor Center. Constructed in 1930, became a Phillips 66 station in 1931. It's one of the oldest surviving gas stations on Kansas 66. And just an amazingly well-preserved example of that sort of Tudor architecture that was popular in the 20s and 30s before the more streamlined Art Deco architecture came into fashion. This beautiful old gas station and garage, which by the way was heavily expanded in the 1940s, was restored sometime around the early 2000s, and it's been the Kansas Route 66 Visitor Center ever since. Dean Crazy Legs Walker used to hang out here, I believe. That's the fellow who could turn his legs around backwards that partially inspired the character of Mater in Pixar's Cars. I can see on the outside they're celebrating the Centennial. And look at this, some more Jefferson Highway stickers. Saw some of those yesterday. Nice to see that that's becoming a thing now. And what I've always loved about this place is that if you go inside, they'll let you sign the walls. That's one way to do a guest book. Look at that. Yes. I love it in here.
Hello, hello.
Hello. Oh, I love the old checkerboard by the stove. That's so cool. The old oil pump. Oh, I love that they stuck the old tools up there. Look at this.
Up here.
Oh, there's, yeah, okay. So those original old uniforms? Yep. Dang, that's amazing. Then look at all the signatures everywhere. They've taken over the building. Ah, there he is, the man himself, Mr. Crazy Legs, and Jay Leno. Okay, this spot had the paint peeling away, so it was the perfect place to sign the bare brick. All right, I got it right down there on the corner. Maybe this time we'll remember our spot. Always a great stop. Always a great place to see. It's pretty darn roomy in here. Look at that restroom. Ooh. Some original tile. They just told me a little fact I never knew, that interior restroom was the men's room so they could keep an eye on whatever they were up to in there. And the outside door right here was the women's restroom. Strictly women only. Women could be trusted to police themselves, I guess. Anyway, you have to stop at the visitor center, or are you even a visitor? But this place we've seen before, where I have never been into before, because it's always been closed when I've come through town, is something awesome. The Baxter Springs Historical Museum. And look at this, there's an old army tank, an old caboose. Everybody likes a good caboose. There's some mining equipment. I can see an old log cabin up there. Some very strange concrete picnic tables. And then look at this. There's even an old original wooden bridge moved from a different part of the county out here. Look at that, preserving history. I like it. Wow, look at this beautiful creek running down here on the edge of the property. Something that always impresses Californians like me. We don't got a lot of running natural water down there. And then look at these survivors right here. Watch out for these things. You get those going fast enough, they'll fling you right into the past. Now, normally I jump right to the inside of the museum first, but there are big thunderstorms on the way, so I'm just making sure I get to see this stuff. Wow, look at that. That log cabin was built out here in the 1870s. That's back when Baxter Springs was a booming cattle town out here in Kansas. Dude, if that's the stuff they got outside the museum you can see for free, who knows what they've got on the inside? Oh, look at this old counter from the Baxter National Bank. This is one of the rare old bank counters you can actually come behind and see some of the artifacts. I've never done that before. Oh, look at this. Here's a little display on the founder of the feast, John J. Baxter, who opened an inn and a general store here, became an ordained minister, and started the town. As you can imagine, with a local history museum, they have a lot of local history in here, going all the way back to the Civil War, when there was a Civil War fort in Baxter Springs. There's information about Quantrill's raids in the area, about some of the Civil War reunions in the area, which were apparently a big deal and very frequent. And look at this, back in the back corner, we've got an old schoolhouse display. Some of these are really well set up. Then you got the history of the town through the World Wars and into the 20th century. But this is all just the first room. Oh, there we go. I can see some mannequins back here. That's what always draws me. It wouldn't be a local history museum without creepy mannequins. And boy, oh boy, look at this. Well, hello.
Well, hello there, traveler. Welcome to the parlor.
Dude, this is cool. These artifacts in here are all from local families. What a cool way to display them by putting together one scene like this. I've seen a lot of local history museums where they put old people's wedding dresses on display. I'm thinking of Hurricane, Utah, etc. Not only are these organized well, look at these beautiful mannequins. Where did these come from? Oh, duh, they came from that store downtown. Look at that. That's a 1903 wedding dress on the right there. It looks like she has like a haircut from the 1970s. Lots of creepy heads on display. You have to have those. And oh no, a widow and an amputee. Look at all this Victorian clothing that was stashed somewhere in local residents' attics and things like that. See, you pass through old towns and see old buildings, but you don't always see the old stuff that goes with them. I love this display about the 1950s. First of all, this lady looks like she's going to the Enchantment Under the Sea dance, but it says 1950s, a decade of progress, prosperity, and then the 60s as a decade of treachery and tragedy. Dude, I often wonder, like, who gets rid of a cool old bed like that? And then you remember, it's probably haunted. And I was just wondering where the creepy dolls were, right? It's never a local history museum without creepy dolls. And lo and behold, in the far corner of the room where they can do the least harm, there they are, wearing real children's dresses, planning their revenge on the townsfolk, on their enemies. Just look at, I don't like that. Ugh. Ooh, and look at that. They've got Annabelle and her boyfriend. Okay, we got to get out of this room. There's 3 rooms upstairs and 3 rooms downstairs. And the last room upstairs that we haven't been into yet is the one with all of the Route 66 stuff just under these longhorns. Oh, yeah. Look at that. There it is. Some information on the Mother Road winding more than 2,000 miles all the way from Chicago to LA. We got information on local musicians and a bunch of old instruments, including Wyan Sims' guitar from the Foggy River Boys, local sports memorabilia, local photography, tons of displays about the local indigenous inhabitants, right? The Native Americans from the area. Actually, the selection of artifacts related to the Native Americans is pretty impressive in here. And then there's a cabinet full of guns. Because why not? Okay, that was upstairs, and all of this was pretty good, but I was told the really good stuff is downstairs. I don't know. Looks awful dark down there. We'll see. Okay. Oh, wow. You know, I was upstairs looking at the Native American stuff, and there was a Black History section. I was thinking, how progressive of them. And then look at this. There's a section for women's work. And right in the back of it, right behind the sign, is the 1930s kitchen. No comment. Looks like someone's in the middle of cleaning the kitchen because all of the cupboards are open. Look at this already. I can see everything is kind of laid out like a little underground Main Street USA down here. Look at that. That's amazing. You got a 1910 farmhouse display. Right across the street, you got an 1870s boardwalk. The old Baxter Springs jail is down here. Dude, this is legitimately the old jail, and it's unlocked. Look at that. You can lay down and have yourself a time. Use the old chamber pot. This is kind of amazing down here. Now, the doors are locked. You can't enter the buildings, but you can creep and peep through the windows and see what the family's up to. Look at this. Another kitchen. And also maybe the world's greatest collection of old laundry machines. Dude, I kind of love the setup in here. It's like my fantasy basement, right? They got their own harness shop in here with all kinds of artifacts from the old Cowtown days of Baxter Springs. Look at all these saddles. We've got the old-timey barber shop in here. Most museums put the blacksmith shop outside, but somebody's got a blacksmith in the basement here. Look at all the tools, the tongs, the smithy equipment. They got a bunch of farming equipment back here as well. Oh, what is this? We got the general store. Not a lot of stuff in there, although they do have some pork and beans right up there on the shelf. And for some reason, some Tootsie Rolls. I'm not going to lie to you, it's a little creepy down here. I was just about to say, like, London was around here somewhere. Oh, I thought you were a ghost for a second. Don't scare me like that, boy. Don't ditch me in the haunted museum. Look at this. Even the old barn is shoved down here into the basement. And not only do they have a whole bunch of cool farming equipment that Jason Voorhees looks like he would absolutely adore. Got the old grindstone right there, your milk pail, I guess. And then look at that. Some devil's rope. Right outside the barn when we walked in, look at this on the back wall. This is actually something very special. That is the world's longest hand-carved wooden chain. Each one of these links right here was carved out by hand by a man named James Porter. Apparently, he was on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. This thing is a 1/4 mile long, as tall as a 95-story skyscraper. And look at this at the end. There's a bonus chain with a shackle, a wooden ball, even a wooden padlock and key. I think the world's longest chain, was carved all out of one piece of wood. I mean, that's the whole thing about hand-carved wooden chains. Maybe it's multiple pieces, but either way, that's a lot of whittling. Dude, whenever you can see the world's largest, longest, or biggest anything, that is a great day. Here is a world's longest that I have never, ever seen right on old Route 66. All right, we're going to get out of the first room in the basement here. She said there's 3 rooms upstairs, 3 rooms downstairs. Although this didn't feel like one room. This is the whole freaking town down here. We're going to get away from the woman's work section and see what the men were up to down here. Oh my gosh, this just keeps on going and going. Would you look at the size of this place? This totally rocks. Dude, this is one of the weirdest, biggest basements I've ever been into in my whole life. They got the whole freaking fire truck down here. Oh man, they got a display about the fire department. They got a display back here about the police department and the yellow transit. I don't exactly know what yellow transit is. Let's find out. Oh, it's like a shipping company down here. Yellow Freight System, Yellow Transit Company Freight Lines. Apparently it operated right here in Baxter Springs. Perfect location back in the early Route 66 days, since we're, pretty close to Oklahoma City and St. Louis. Probably a lot of stuff had to be moved back and forth. Kansas City's just a couple hours north of us. This is one of those sections where if I was on a field trip as a kid, I would have been like, boring, got a whole bunch of woodworking tools over here, lame. But I guess I'm an old man now because I've been doing a little woodworking. Now I just find this plain interesting. I actually try to collect as many antique wood carving tools as I can, old gouges and stuff like that. I don't have the room to work with lathes and big stuff yet. So my part of me is always tempted to move out of California so I can get a bigger spread over here, but that might be pretty dangerous. Look at all these arrowheads right here, by the way. That's a big collection. I was going to say that might be dangerous because, as London said earlier, like we were looking at some old buses. I said, hey man, how come that guy gets all these old buses and I don't have any? He says, you don't have any room. If I got some room, I'd probably have a bunch of weird stuff. Although that might not be a bad thing. Now I can put it all in a basement museum. Dude, I need to keep a sharper eye out because when I went in that room, I almost missed all this. Look at this wacky, wild collection of different bricks. This was the brick-making capital of the world. Not Baxter Springs specifically, but this region of the country. From St. Louis stretching all the way out here to Baxter Springs, Kansas, and beyond. In Baxter Springs itself, there was a very large brick-making operation. And just look at the size of this collection of bricks from all over the country. This is very interesting. I've never seen a brick collection before. I can see Tulsa, Oklahoma. I can see Lawrence, Kansas on there. Several others from Kansas and Missouri. This is impressive, man. I've never thought about collecting bricks before. I guess I would have thought, how in the world do you display them? Baxter Springs has sorted that out. I don't know if this is the largest brick collection in the world, but it's certainly the largest brick collection I've ever seen. All right, after the Cowtown days, this whole area became a big center for mining. Not usually what you associate with Kansas and Oklahoma, but there's a town nearby called Pitcher that was a massive hub for mining, specifically lead mining. Everybody's favorite kind, and thousands of people moved to this region of the country to mine for lead, to mine for zinc. You can see right there the town of Pitcher was pretty darn large, pretty darn industrial, and sitting right in the middle of the slag piles from the lead mining. Well, the town of Pitcher, Oklahoma pretty much no longer exists. It's pretty close to here. I went there about 10 years ago. There's absolutely nothing left of the downtown, just a couple of steps leading to the foundations of old homes. It is all desolate because the water supply was poisoned by the lead mining. In other words, somebody poisoned the water hole. Look at this. They got a whole bunch of remnants left over from the lead mining days out here. Oh, look at this plaque for the Century Zinc Company. Apparently a lot of the men came down with something called silicosis, which is, I think I'm pronouncing that right, which is very similar to tuberculosis. It would just wreck your lungs. And yet I have high hopes that one day Pitcher, Oklahoma will be revived because the children yearn for the mines. Hey, look at that. I believe that's some lead right over there. Don't touch it. You might get lead poison. Here's some of the jobs right here. The screen ape, the hoister man, and the tub hooker. I've heard of tub hookers in the Old West, but I didn't know they went down into the mines. Dude, and then look at this. This is something I've never seen before. I've been in a lot of museums. I've been in a lot of mining museums. I've never seen a replica lead mine in a basement before. That is something new. That's dynamite. I don't want to be rude, but is that the tub hooker or the screen ape? Wow, look at this. In all seriousness, man, these guys had a hard job, generation after generation of these hard-working miners. And then look at all the rocks and gems and weird crystals they found. Look at their hard hats and their mining lamps and their very rudimentary safety gear. I mean, these men had to make a living. I just feel bad for that horse or that mule right there. These poor mules had to go work down in the mines. No, mules don't yearn for the mines. Oh, is this what I think it is? Dude, I haven't seen one of these in forever. They got one of these at Calico Ghost Town, or they used to have one at Knott's Berry Farm. Come in here. You gotta come in the little room. Get in here. Get in. It's one of the wonders of nature. You shut the door, you flick the switch, and behold, the wonders of the mines. This is what kept the men going down in there, London. I thought there would be some like glowing uranium and stuff in here. I guess these are natural patterns, but why do they all look like the Eye of Sauron? They delved too greedily and too deep. Gaze into the wonder, boy. Gaze into the wonder. I know I'm spending entirely too much time in this museum, but it's been years that I've had to pass it, and I never got to come inside. Whoa! There's a theme change right there. We went straight out of the mine into the 1930s downtown boardwalk. More like a brick walk. Look at that. They got bricks on the floor, too. What will they think of next? Whoa! High fashion. That's what. Look at that dress right there. They don't make those like they used to. Oh, and there's a lot of this sort of lace finery down here, a lot of reflections on the glass, but if you look beyond those, this is some pretty risque clothing for the 1930s, man. That's not the way I think of the past. Whoa, this is weird. That lady right there, she kind of looks like my Aunt Tammy. Did my Aunt Tammy have a mannequin company? Look at all these mannequins. Oh, I guess these are womakins. And look at this. They got another old doctor office right there. I think that's that doctor equipment from the Muppet movie right there. An electronic cerebrectomy. Got the 1930s dentist's office. I don't know what's going on over here. There's a little telephone switchboard going on. Oh, okay. Operator, can you please connect me to the 1930s? Dude, okay, there's the old hair dryer, which looks hazardous enough. Look at this thing. The permanent wave machine. Look at how you had to get a perm back in the freaking day. I love that somebody had to save that, for years. And finally this museum up. It's like, oh, finally a purpose for my wave machine. Okay, look at that. They got the watchmaker over here and a bunch of artifacts. See, these must have all come out of those empty businesses in the old downtown. Look at the size of that printing press right there from the Cherokee County Republican. I'm glad to know it's in the museum and safe. Pretty cool, man. Pretty darn cool. Oh, I almost didn't even notice. Look at this. They got rows of some of those fancy bricks from the collection all over the walls over here. Brick used to be slang for like somebody cool, somebody solid, somebody fun, Bully old London. He's a real brick. We should bring that back. All right, we got to get out of the basement now and see if it's storming upstairs. We still have like 12 more miles of Kansas Route 66 to go through. Oh boy, all right. It's raining. It's mild rain. A little bit of mild rain out here. Could be a lot worse. It's supposed to storm like crazy today. We thought about hightailing it straight to Missouri, but come on, we can't skip a whole state. We can't skip Kansas. That's part of why I'm glad the museum was open today. I've never been in there, so something new and also something indoors. Get me in the car, boy! All right, we've rejoined old Route 66. I love when they've preserved like the old 1926 alignments, the old original alignments. After all, this year, 2026, is the 100th anniversary of the road. And any section that goes back to the 20s or the 30s, I don't know, something special about it. Especially the 1930s, because my mom's dad was trucking between St. Louis and Los Angeles a bunch of times during that decade. Anyway, there's just one more classic thing we want to get a peek at as we make our way out of Baxter Springs and on to Riverton, and our next big town, and last big town in Kansas, Galena. This is getting way more moist than I like. It's still fun to be here in the rain. It's just one of those things where, I don't know if you guys know this, cameras and moisture do not get along very well. Oh, there it is, look at that. Dead ahead, an absolute icon of the Mother Road. Dude, look at that rain, it's coming in almost freaking sideways out there. Dude, look at that. We've looped back around across the 1923 Rainbow Bridge. Boy, is it wet outside. Well, I guess we're not gonna get a lot of glamour shots of the car going down the road today. I suppose we just gotta barrel on towards Galena. You know, I'll tell you what, Kansas may have a short section of Route 66, but it is a very, very beautiful section. All right, we're moving on towards Galena. I probably should mention there's another town we're passing through called Riverton, which we stopped at and filmed last time. There's not a lot to see in Riverton, except Nelson's old Riverton store, which I do recommend. I'm just hoping this rain lets up a little bit here. All right, well, the rain actually has let up a little bit, at least for the moment, as we pulled into Galena, Kansas. And there's another little museum across the street in the old train depot, the Galena Museum, that I was hoping to see today, but unfortunately, it's closed. This is where Route 66 makes a sharp left turn onto Main Street. The original route had a lot of 90-degree turns. As time went on, the route got wider and progressively went around more and more downtowns as the whole highway system evolved, eventually becoming huge sections that resembled the interstate before being ultimately replaced by interstates. In fact, nowadays, when you take the interstate, you don't come through any of these old Kansas towns at all, taking I-44 from Oklahoma City up to Springfield. So a lot of these little towns like Galena that were teeming with highway travelers and little businesses basically became ghost towns, especially when the lead mining business kind of dried up out here. That's why Route 66 tourism is very important to these places, which is why, look at this, they have put in a new little Route 66 shield statue here in Galena. They had one in Baxter Springs too, but I forgot to go and look at it. Sorry. Celebrating the Centennial of Route 66 out here. I love it. Look at that. You can get a double fun pick going. Look at this, London. We're taking a double fun pick. Aren't you glad I got you out of the car for this? Oh, my hole's all wet. Oh, whoa. Not only did I get all wet from the hole, look at this. I stepped on something. There's a whole bag under here with underwear in it and shea butter wipes. Somebody left their rear end kit here from the Dollar General right under their fun pick. And as much as I'd love to, you know, get a free set of underwear and some free shea butter wipes, I think I'm gonna leave it right there. That way, if they come back along and try to, look, you got wet from the hole too. Stay away from the holes, they're hazardous. I'll flick the water on you. I flick. All right, there's a very important stop right up here in downtown Galena, Kansas that I've seen a million times but never got to go inside because somehow the timing is always wrong for me. And I'm hoping against hope that despite the weather, they'll be open. In 1939, right on old Route 66, right in downtown Galena, they got a brand new Texaco station, which I believe was actually still pumping gas up to the year 2000, but eventually finally gave up the ghost, became abandoned here before being purchased and reopened by a guy named Aaron Perry in the last few years as Gearhead Curios. And not only have they added back the old signs and old pumps and stuck Doc Hudson out in front of the business, and this town has a very important Cars connection, by the way, but look at that beautiful neon Texaco sign up there. You got the ubiquitous Bob's Big Boy and Betty Boop and the neon Gearhead Curios sign above the garage door. But best of all, he added a giant, and would you look at the size of that mechanic. He's gargantuan. It's the biggest man in Kansas. Dude, it absolutely towers over the old Texaco station, about 20, 21, 22 feet tall. This is one of the old Texaco Big Friends, part of a 1960s Texaco ad campaign built by International Fiberglass. There were hundreds of these guys at Texaco stations across the country in the 1960s. Most of them, of course, were destroyed when the Big Friends campaign ended, but some of the Texaco station owners who had the luxury of space stored these things away. Dude, these things are exceedingly rare now. I believe there's only like 6, maybe 7 of them in the world. Something like that. Original survivors, at least. And only about half of those are on display to the public anywhere in the United States. I could be wrong about this, but I believe this one over here, I believe Big A as he's known, is actually a replica Big Friend built by Mark Klein of Enchanted Castle Studios. I think they unveiled this bad boy in 2024, and I remember being all into the details at that time. I've sort of forgotten him now. And he's designed to look like the owner and operator of Gearhead Curios, Aaron Perry himself, which is where the distinctive white beard comes from. And look at this, the light is coming out a bit, the raindrops are getting fewer and farther between. It's a sign, boy, the good Lord is shining down on us. Because every other time I've been through Galena since Gearhead Curios has existed, it has been closed up. But right in the window right now, I can see a beautiful green and red neon open sign. Dude, and every single freaking time I come through here, I'll either get a message from Gearhead Curios or from hundreds of other people like, did you stop at Gearhead? Well, yeah, I stopped to look, but I never went inside. It was closed and I wanted to save it up until it was open. Never met Aaron in person. Let's go inside and see if he's here today.
Pardon me, Rat Fink. Let me just go inside here.
Oh, yes. Thank you. This is freaking awesome. Oh, dude, any day you can meet up with Kirk and Spock on the Mother Road is a good day. Look at that. There's a Spooklight t-shirt of Captain Kirk, and look at the wall of dollars over here, the ceiling of license plates, the old jukebox, the Formica table. This is awesome. Oh, they got the classic map where you stick a pin in it. I'll do that momentarily. The license plates, and look at these old hubcaps serving as dishes for Route 66 soap. I want that. Oh, dude, that is sick right there. Ooh, look at this in the garage. London is finding himself a little bit of a sweatshirt. I've been loving seeing these all over Route 66. Somebody is doing these 3D printed replicas of like the signs and the giants and the various characters along the Mother Road for the local businesses. I keep seeing them at different stops, the choicest of stops. I want one. I want one of me. Who do I talk to? Dude, this is cool. This is what it's all about, dude. Restoring these old gas stations, making them interesting, making them unique. Oh no, look at this. They've got a sign from the totem pole. I'm pretty sure that's from Rolla, Missouri. I love that old hood up there. Custom painted hood. There's a very good t-shirt selection in here. Dude, I really like the Spooklight shirt, but I also like that Kansas shirt right there. Okay, I opted for Spooklight t-shirt. I had to do it. London's getting himself a hoodie over there. I would have joined him, but I need the zipper. I have to have a zip up or I get claustrophobic. Dude, look at all this stuff back here. And oh my gosh, the restroom. Or as it says on the door, the honeymoon suite. What in the heck is going on here? Dude, heck yeah. This, okay, first of all, that's a great throne. Great old classic throne. This is the coolest freaking urinal I have ever seen in my life. Put your feet in the straps, boys. Push the pedal to the metal and get going. I gotta flush this. Is this how you flush the urinal? Yes! Yes! Okay, that is cool. They must hear some very curious sounds at the counter over there. People must get excited. I cannot be the only one that got excited about that. Look at the freaking sink right here. You gotta turn these little knobs to make it work. The hot and cold water comes right out of the gas pump. It could only be cooler if the squeeze made it work. That is epic. Like I said, you gotta do something unique. That's the problem with a lot of Route 66 businesses that close, is they don't have anything unique, right? They'll open an old gas station, just put the generic merchandise, nothing custom, nothing specific, and nothing weird like this. This is well done. Oh, look at that. I like seeing the original back wall of the station too before this clearly addition was put on. Wow. This is awesome. All right, I've done it. I signed the guest book. Gotta say my goodbyes to Kirk and Spock in there. Make my way back outside. Dude, that is awesome. The restroom alone. Well done. Well freaking done. Well, we didn't get to meet Aaron today, although we did get to meet Big A. I don't think he was actually out here the last time I was here. The rest of it was done, but not the Big Friend. Look at Doc Hudson right over here. I love that they have something for the kids. I love that the little chain holders around the edges are old pistons. They got lots of genuine old Route 66 artifacts. I love that the Pump Island roof is made out of old hoods up there. And they got the little power wheels out here so that the kids can play Lightning McQueen out here in the driveway. This place is sick. This is the other key thing. I've spent a lot of time going up and down the American highway system. You know, more than 25 years in 49 states, and I can tell you that the most successful places are the places that give you something interesting to do, especially for kids, and anyone young really, right? It makes it a lot easier for mom and dad to stop over and take a look at the interesting old cool gas station or the cool old giant. If A, it's something the kids are interested in seeing too, like the giant over here, or if B, they got something to do, like play with the little Lightning McQueen Power Wheels down there, or see the weirdest urinal in the West. Well, I guess technically Kansas is in the middle. The weirdest urinal in the middle. Finally, dude, finally I've seen it. Gearhead Curios, Galena, Kansas. This guy was installed right after our last Route 66 trip 2 years ago, and so for 2 years I've been waiting to see the big A. Trust me, I'd be out on Route 66 way more often, but we need more of our friends to join us on Patreon for that. However, I do like to get my kicks on 66 as often as I can. All right, now I told you, Doc Hudson is out here because this town has got a very specific, very interesting connection to Pixar and the movie Cars. They weren't just led they mined out of this place, but that story has to wait until we get to the end of the street. Dude, look at that right back there. It's the Route 66 gazebo at Pappy Litch Park. Someday, Jennifer, someday. There's actually a lot more stuff open in downtown Galena than I've ever seen before. And I love seeing it with all the flags out here. That's because as we stand down here, we're just about 48 hours away from Memorial Day. But it's a good look. They should keep this going all the time. I love that they got a little Will Rogers Highway slab out here, giving you a little history of Galena, Kansas, founded in 1877. You've heard of El Torito, but if you've been to Galena, Kansas, you're more familiar with Me Torito. Looks like it's actually open now. That's great. And then lead mining may have gone out of fashion over the years, but look at this over across the street. They've opened a new store, Lucky Miner Antiques. It's open, just what I need, London. More stuff in the house, and more stuff in the car. We could always go window shopping. Remember this, don't let me buy anything, okay? Okay. Just gonna take a little look-see, a little peekaroo, a little peekarico. Peekarico, what the heck? Ooh, look at this. Look at that technology up there. Oh, look at these little gas pump lamps. Every kind of weird lamp imaginable, actually. Even lamps that play the saxophone. Oh, there's a lot of treasures in here. Dude, this is so great. There was nothing to do in downtown Galena for so long. I see saw. This is great. A lot of old license plates and old prints, old tools. Oh, even the most antique of antique toys. Look at that, it's the Green Ranger right up there. Dude, this is pretty cool. They got all the old oil cans up here, the grease cans. What the heck is going on here? They got an animatronic singing deer, big mouth Billy Bass up on the wall. This is the weirdest, coolest closet I've ever seen. Nothing in there is for sale. That's just somebody with a sense of fun. Oh, and I remember this from Grandma's house. I think everyone's Grandma's house had that picture in it. As well they should, I guess. Dude, there's legit just random old saddles in here. Really cool old signs. R2 and C3PO talking bank up there. And let me tell you, I know a little bit about antique stores and the prices are very good here. Oh, this is weird. Low bridge. There's a little low ceiling room back here next to the restrooms. I think this is where they hide the haunted stuff, the haunted old books. This is awesome. Look at this. Lucky Miner Bargains Gallery. Okay, so maybe the Lucky Miner's been around for a long time, but I've never seen it open, and it looks all fixed up outside, new signs and everything. Dude, this was a sweet surprise. Dude, why do I suddenly want an ostrich egg? I've never wanted an ostrich egg before, but there's 3 right here, and I want them. Dude, if I didn't like this place already, I'd like it now. They're paying tribute to our 16th president, old Abraham Lincoln. Oh, what the heck? What the heck, a country cruiser? Dang it, that's not for sale. Good thing though, I don't have room. Okay, let me just get a few more shots out here of the antique store and then we'll wrap things up. This is great, this is how we used to vlog back in the 80s. You failed me. You let me buy something? It's a portable television studio. It's a VHS movie. All right, I was about to jet down to the end of the road here in the Pixar Cars connection that we always stop at. But I see another giant new thing out here. Look at this over here at this, I guess, bar called Gravy's Place. Look at the size of that 8-ball, that thing of chalk, and that pool cue. Now, making a giant pool cue seems pretty easy. This one's actually tapered though. It's not just made out of an old pole. You got the big 8-ball there, but the chalk is the most impressive thing, because if you've ever played pool, you know you need that. That is so random and unexpected and awesome. Oh, look at that. There's Bigfoot over there. Even Bigfoot is impressed by this large pool cue. Dude, I'm grateful the skies sort of opened up here for us, but they look ugly. Ugliness is coming. So we have fast forwarded all the way to the end of the street to the old Can-O-Tex gas station, better known as Cars on the Route, because when Pixar and company were coming through here on their research trip for the movie Cars, not only did this garage across the street here literally provide the inspiration for one of the buildings in Radiator Springs. It's mostly a background building, but look at the patina up on this thing. Look at that amazing tin or iron fronted old building right there. That is fantastic. And hey, they are for sale if you want them. But it was also somewhere in Galena where they saw and photographed, somewhere supposedly in an abandoned lot down here, a very specific, rusty, lonely, old-looking tow truck that would inspire the look of the character Tater. And this is it right here. You might have been tempted to think it was that. No, that was brought here later. They brought Tater out here to join what they call Tater, because they were originally afraid to use the name Tater, the original Tater. Yeah, it's you know, it's Pixar, it's Disney. I get it. Dude, that is amazing. Tater right here is the inspiration, the original inspiration for Tater. You can see he's got that huge boom on the back of him. He's not your ordinary tow truck. He's basically got a crane back there. And on the replica of Mater, you can see they made him a little smaller. They changed him up a little bit. If you've ever wondered why Tater's like boom crane back there is so distinct and interesting, it was inspired by this huge truck out here, which, hey, maybe had something to do with the lead mining industry. Who knows? And I love that the color is just perfect, just like it is on Tater in the movie. And it's got ghost writing right on the side. Both sides, really, driver and passenger door. And of course, I think at the time they were coming through here, the Can-O-Tex was abandoned. But after the movie Cars, it was restored, became Cars on the Route. And not only did they haul Tater up here, where he's no longer abandoned and forlorn and sad and lonely, he's beloved of children all over the world. London, you grew up watching that movie. But they brought his spiritual son, Tater, or the Galena version of Tater. He looks a little spaced out, something about the eyes. And also red out here. They got the fire engine, which is really, really sweet. Because of course, the voice of Red was Joe Ranft, who was also the creator of Tater, and sadly passed away in 2005. Joe Ranft was the one who saw Tater out there and got inspired. Now, there's a whole bunch of stuff down along the turn of Route 66 there. We'll see when we start to leave town. But it's actually been 10 years since I was inside of this building. It's been a long time. I normally come through this town at nighttime. That's why I never got into Gearhead Curios before. So we're gonna stick a 6 stick on the side of the window, go on in and maybe get a little swag. We're going in Cars on the Route. Woo. Just in time. It was getting ugly out there, dude. The wind was rising, and we are in Kansas. I don't want to end up in Oz.
Oh, look at this old place. I love the floor. I love when they do the floor like that.
I never knew they served food in here. I mean, not at the moment. I just wasn't aware that was the deal. Oh, and look what's playing up on the screen. Radiator Springs when they turn the lights on. Huh, that was weird. Maybe I've never been in Cars on the Route. Maybe it's always been closed when I'm in town, because I don't remember the food part at all. But look at this. I love this Tater neon, though. Epic. All right, we're about to take a right turn down Old 66 to Missouri. But first, I always have to point this out, that this building was an old brothel back in the lead miner days. And we cruise off this way, past some of those old lead mines, and it's not very far before we get to the Missouri border. Kansas isn't done yet, though, because right before you get to that last mile of Kansas driving is this, the little Kansas gateway that's been growing and growing the last couple of Route 66 trips I've made out here. First with a very surprised sheriff up on the pole, signed by Michael Wallace, the guy that literally wrote the book on Route 66. And they've kept adding fun pick opportunities out here. Some fun hand-painted tractors to tip. I don't know who's doing the painting. I think local students, but they've done a heck of a job. Look at this. They got Luigi's Pit Stop with Luigi poking right out of the garage. They've got a little donate box inside the old air pump here. Lightning McQueen, Tater, fun pick, Fillmore. They of course have Dorothy, because if you're going east to west, Chicago to LA, this would be your first stop in Kansas. And there's no better way to welcome you to Kansas than with a fun pick opportunity with Dorothy. They got a big Route 66 shield sign for you to sign, and a very fun, easy rider photo op. Something for the bikers, right? They got this muscly biker right here, and then he's got his old lady behind him, and she is riding free as a bird. And inside the shelter, there are so many well-done, hand-painted murals by the locals. I love them all, especially seeing Crazy Legs, who I've still never managed to meet. The side of the building, too, with all these Burma Shave signs, old highway ads, and a very luscious Betty Boop.
We've got some lascivious painters in Kansas.
Oh, dude, and last but not least, I can't forget to mention the greatest thing ever out here at Luigi's Pit Stomp. The most terrified Lightning McQueen replica ever. Watch out for Frank. Don't let him get you. This freaking is the... I just enjoy that. Lightning McTerror right there. The gateway here is from Joplin, Missouri, from the middle school gym that was destroyed by the tornado, the big one, which is a pretty touching tribute. Although I don't understand the King Kong connection, I do love that. And there are tons of murals down here at the base of the gateway as well. All right, we're having weather and audio issues out here, so we'd better hit the road. We're gonna head towards that Missouri line, but we're not quite stopping yet because we've got an old friend to visit over the border. All right, we had a little bit of nasty driving weather there for a minute. Serves us right for taking the interstate instead of old 66 for a minute. But we are now meeting back up with old Route 66 here in Missouri. One of the most beautiful places on earth. Just a little slice of heaven, a little piece of paradise here, which is exactly how I've always thought of our next stop. Oh, and here it is. We've met back up with old Route 66 on the most scenic of scenic byways. Old original Route 66. Over the bridge over Johnson Creek into Spencer, Missouri. Not really a town, more like a neighborhood, or at least that's what Google Maps will tell you. This place is a little slice of paradise. I've always said that. It always mystified me because just up ahead is the cutest little set of an old gas station and old buildings and an old general store sitting on the original 2-lane pavement of Missouri's Route 66 up there. It's not quite a town, but it always had that sign out there. Welcome to Spencer, Missouri. I don't know if you can hear it out here. It's always been the most beautiful sounding, beautiful looking, lush little slice of paradise. Maybe it's because part of my family comes from the Ozarks. Got some deep Ozark roots down there, down south of Rolla, down south of Salem. But I always feel like, and I'm talking for hundreds of years, I always feel like a deep connection to the land, specifically in Missouri. I don't know what it is. Beautiful here. I mean, some of the roads we were coming down are some of the most freaking beautiful back roads I've ever seen in my life. I'm sure if you're a teenager growing up here, I wish I was in Southern California, I wish I was in LA or New York or anywhere, somewhere. Coming from a place where it's almost impossible to build anything or own anything, and you're just one among millions and millions, seeing these people living out here with acres of land and deep roots. I don't know. Maybe it's a grass is always greener kind of situation, but you know what? I've been in Southern California. I gotta tell you, the grass is literally greener right here. Anyway, enough philosophy. London's already walked over the bridge. We gotta get ourselves into Spencer. Okay, look at this old 1920s bridge. Weight limit 30 tons. Even everybody's mother-in-law could cross this bridge. They don't make them like they used to, I guess. This thing was built to last. Dude, there it is right there. Look at that. That is a vision of glory. Welcome back to Spencer, Missouri. 2 years ago, London and I were out here in the worst heat wave on the hottest day, most humid day ever in Spencer, Missouri with the owner, Ed Klein, who I've gotten to know only very recently. I used to come through here and be like, what is this? What is this mystery? Only to find out that not only had Ed Klein, who is very well known in Route 66 preservationist circles, had purchased the place, but had intended on fixing up and restoring these so long abandoned buildings. And he took us on a tour of the entire property 2 years ago, delved into the history that he had uncovered from the original family that owned the place. And now, oh my gosh, they have done so much work. Ed Klein's also involved in helping to save Ella's Frontier, rebuild that on the Jackrabbit. He's been involved in a million of Route 66 projects. He's always on top of it. Super good guy, one of my favorite people. And boy, the weather could not be more different today than it was the last time we were here. I hope he's here today. I love Ed. I also hate Ed because he bought like my dream, my fantasy place. My fantasy would either be living out a Painted Desert trading post or living in Spencer, dude. It is so gorgeous, so beautiful, so peaceful
I could just sit on this bench and listen to them birds chirp all day. Dude, this is amazing. Last time we were here, they were not open to the public whatsoever in any kind of way. Now, not only has so much work been done that they are actually open to visitors, the door's just wide open. Come right in. Oh my gosh. I mean, they were fixing this place up last time. Look at this, a whole new roof. There's electricity. I hear voices. I hear voices back here. Ed!
How's it going, buddy?
Dude, what is going on?
How are you?
This place looks a little different than the last time. And the weather could not be more different.
I know. We were just talking to London about that. I said we've gone from 95% humidity and wasp to now rain and flies.
Yeah, I saw the flies. There's a weird fly bloom, but...
And we have the...
they're not blood-sucking flies, right?
I don't know that yet. She'll let me know.
So you'll find out. Dude, this is so freaking amazing that there's actually ceilings in here, lights, electricity, fans, and soon air conditioning.
Yes, we're getting the AC ordered shortly. So.
And you've been doing this all yourself?
Pretty much.
I haven't seen any like come help me campaigns from you.
It's hard because, you know, for example, today we're open from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. I've only had 30 minutes of free time to do whatever.
And then I came.
No, it's all right. As I told him, I said if he didn't show up. Anyway, so... Yeah. But it's just been very busy. April was our busiest month on record, and I think it's just going to get worse from here on out. And then wintertime is usually when we get a lot of the stuff. I say we. And Steph is like, well, it's you idiot. I'm like, but you feed me.
Yeah.
And that's the most important part.
That's why I tell Allie all the time.
I'm a growing boy, so I need food.
I tell Allie all the time, we're a team because I wouldn't be alive if it weren't for you.
Right.
This is amazing. You've done so much freaking work in here. I can't believe there's walls, there's ceilings, the floor feels nice to walk on, and there's no wasps.
No, it's just flies now.
Yeah.
It took us 8 months to do the ceiling, the soffits, and storefronts, and the lights, and I just wanted a ceiling fan, and I got a ceiling fan now, so... Got that in. We're going to get another back cabinet back here. I found one, and then this will be the, like I said, the General Store Museum. We're still buying items from 1949 and earlier. So.
But you're open. The sign says come on in.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I can see. Look, so we're a little work in progress right there. By the way, these Christmas cactuses right here, which you're selling for $5 each, which is a heck of a bargain. I highly recommend buying these. My grandpa bought one of those in 1957, and we all have offshoots from it, and the original one is still alive in the original pot. So that's a good investment.
That's the exact same story. Steph's mom passed away. She had one. And we brought it home from her house and started growing it, and I started doing the offshoots. These are like the 20th offshoots.
Really? See?
Yeah, and those are about 6 months old from just 2 leaves.
These are a great investment right here.
Yeah.
This is so great because the General Store Museum's coming together, the barber shop's all coming together, the gift shop is fully armed and operational, and I love any place on Route 66 that has something you can't get anywhere else. Look at these freaking vintage maps, though. And this is the coolest part, because Ed's just finishing up the floor in here to bring it up to code and preserve the original 1920s concrete. And now you got to build yourself a kitchen.
Yeah, so we wanted to make sure that the floor is not original 1928 concrete. We wanted to make sure it was staying as original as possible. And I can honestly say it's about 90-95% original. We're very careful about this. It's coded, it meets code now. So now we can start building out our countertops. And what we're gonna do is build 2 big 1930s, 40s countertop with old-time Formica on it, or 1920s stools. So you can sit here and you could eat. If you want to, you can belly up to the bar. Or
wait, those stools are from the 20s?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
It took me a year and a half to find 7 of them. I had to go to Oklahoma City, and then I had to go to Kansas City to find them. And we found them, and so we're going to get those cleaned up and redone, and I'm going to be using those. So the cafe will come back to life. And we were just talking about this. This originally, when they first built this place in the 1920s, yes, they had a cafe and the barber shop, but then eventually it was all became one big store, right? Correct. So in 1948, Cindy Casey pretty much removed the barber shop, removed the diner, and made these 2 buildings a Spencer Grocery. So anybody that is from a certain age, we'll say 70 older, they remember this as the Spencer Grocery and the Spencer Feed and Seed. So it was 2 businesses, and Cindy ran it until about 1961 and then closed it when this place got bypassed. So when we bought this place, Steph and I were talking, we said, we had 2 generations of Spencer. What do we want to do? And we could have went back to the easy route. and had the feed and seed in the Spencer grocery, but then we would have to have really really big gift shop. Yeah. And I don't want to do that. And so we thought we'd be doing something easy and bring it back to how it was in the 20s. So barbershop museum, it'll be a Greyhound bus museum, it'll post office museum, and then an actual functioning cafe.
Oh, that's right, because it was the bus stop too.
Correct. Dang. It was a bus stop from 1940 to 1960. So, and you know how it is, finding old original Greyhound stuff is a nightmare.
Yeah.
And I talked to a lot of antique people, and a lot of them say everything we see are from like the 60s, 70s, and 80s.
Right.
We don't see in the older stuff. So now I'm out there looking for the old Greyhound stuff. That's not going to cost me my other kidney.
All right, well, we sat and chewed the fat with Ed and his wife until very late in the night. As you can see, you can no longer see that little slice of paradise that is Spencer. The bridge is over there in complete darkness, and off on the other direction, some more complete darkness. London's hungry, I'm hungry, we're tired, but we had a great time out here. I used to come and sit out in front of Spencer. I'd pull out my little lawn chair that I always bring with me, right? I'd sit and have a contemplate and just dream of what this place was, what it would be like if it was ever able to reopen. And I freaked out because I watched the sun go down and get to that twilight moment. I always try to be here right at twilight. And I was just telling Ed, this is what I used to imagine being inside of this building, sitting around literally the old stove in there and just chewing the fat. We got a little Spencer 100th anniversary t-shirt right here because this place does date all the way back to the beginning of the road. It's very important. It's a very key place. Make sure you stop here in Missouri. All right, we've done Kansas, we've done Missouri. London's hungry. It's time that we get out of here. Remember what I told you about Patreon, about the merch store, about the sickest hot sauce ever in the entire world, which we might try to bring out here to Spencer, Missouri. We'll see what we can convince Ed to do. Should be coming to Tulsa soon. Anyway, I gotta get out of here. London's already gotten in the car and ditched me. I guess we've done our duty. Time to motel and sleep well. Definitely come to Spencer. Tell him Justin sent you. See you later. Walmart. We went to the Walmart. I bought gluten-free lasagna. I'm ready to eat. Why does it do this? Target acquired. Why? It is indeed the 1926 alignment of Route 66 right here in Baxter Springs, Kansas. Just cruising around behind the McDonald's. Just a little patchy, bumpy little piece of road. That's all that's left. Oh my gosh, there's a car coming. Oh my gosh, I hope he don't hit me. Oh my gosh, we're going onto the bigger road. 1926. That was a very good year. Look at those youths over there. What are they doing? They're up to no good, London. Taking selfies and stuff. How could they?